Wake up at dawn, coffee's brewing slow. Check the news, let the headlines flow. Black and white candles light up my screen. Patience is my saddle, keep my focus keen. 3/8 traps my rope, I'm ready to ride. Price pulls back soft, just a dip in the tide. Wait for the break, let it clear that line. Trade above the high and the profit's mine.
Good morning, friends and fellow traders. This is Doug Campbell with Rightway Options, and this is the Morning Market Prep video for Tuesday, May 13th, 2025. Well, I hope everyone got a nice rest. We've got a busy day ahead of us with a CPI number just around the corner. So we'll have to buckle up for some potential volatility. Boy, what a boomer of a day yesterday, and the markets are still trying to absorb that big move up. Let's take a look at what happened overnight. First off, Asian markets mostly higher last night. Australia was up 35 points. The Nikkei zoomed up 539 points. India was lower by 346. South Korea was essentially flat. Hong Kong fell by 441 points yesterday, and Shanghai rising 5.63%, or $5.63. I'll get it out here in just a second. Let's take a look at European markets. If you ever wondered if this video was edited, well, now you know for sure it's not edited. If we take a look at European markets, the DAX is up 43.58. FTSE is up $13.51, and the CAC is up $8.70 this morning. And if we take a look at U.S. futures this morning, we've got the Dow futures right now down 176 points. S&P 500 futures down $14.75, and the NASDAQ futures down $47.50 this morning. If we take a look at what's going on in oil this morning, well, we have oil still holding some bullishness here. We had a good day yesterday in oil, and oil is up 57 cents today at 62.52 a barrel. Brent crude is coming in at 65.42 a barrel, and natural gas is pushing back up after a pretty rough day yesterday, but only up about 3.5 cents this morning. If we take a look at our bonds here today, well, bonds had a pretty good day going higher yesterday, and they are going up again today. So we've got those interest rates rising here. We've got the 2-year bond at 3.98%. The 10-year bond is at 4.45%, and the 30-year 4.89% here today. And if we take a look at what's going on in the U.S. dollar, well, U.S. dollar actually just a little bit on the flat side here today. Right now, dollar futures down just 15 cents, but we had quite a rally yesterday in that U.S. dollar, so we'll want to be keeping an eye on that as we continue to shift around here in the market. Let's take a peek at what we've got going on in the crypto markets here this morning. Well, we had a rough day yesterday in Bitcoin, quite a pullback and then a bounce back up, and this morning we're trying to move higher. Bitcoin this morning is up $1,695 a coin, and Ether this morning is up $21 a coin. So still looking really good in there. A little bit on the parabolic side if you look at ETHA. That's pretty much a straight up move there in that. But mostly bullish in the cryptos here this morning. We've also got gold, interestingly, moving up this morning after a really rough day yesterday, falling over $100 an ounce. this morning coming up right now up $30.30 an ounce. Silver this morning is also a little bit higher and sharply higher after whipping down yesterday and then bouncing up. Silver this morning is up 61 cents an ounce at $33.24 an ounce. Copper is also higher this morning, up a little over a nickel, trying to move a bit higher. You might want to keep an eye on COPX or maybe FCX in there, trying to move to the upside. And then we've got platinum higher this morning by $16.30, and palladium up $6.60 after a really rough day to the downside yesterday. So what does all that mean for the day? Well, how about we settle in? Let's buckle up. Let's get ready for the Tuesday edition of the Morning Market Prep video. Good morning once again, everyone, and thanks so much for being here. I very much appreciate it. As always, let's take a look at these index charts. We want to shake off that bias. Look at the charts for what they are, not for what we would like them to be. And let's see if we can figure out how we might want to address the market for today. Looking at the diamonds here, obviously extremely bullish, very extended in the short period of time. In such a short period of time, I'm going to go to the Dow here just to give you an idea. In 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 days, the Dow has moved from the low up here to a high, and we're up 4,500 points. So 4,500 points in 16 days. That's an amazing run to the upside. Now, clearly we were very oversold, but that being said, this is a remarkable run and we're continuing to hold this stretch. So please keep in mind that when we move this far, this fast, a substantial consolidation, we could rest in here for a period of time. We could also pull back. Remember, markets go three ways: up, down, and sideways. And one of the things that would be really healthy for the market right now is just a rest and a consolidation for a while after such a strong move to the upside, or we risk that potential of that pretty substantial whipsaw to the downside. So keep an eye on that. Let's take a look at what we've got going here this morning. If the bulls can continue to find inspiration here today, you can see I've marked out this next area of resistance up here in the chart. We could easily see that push up in, and I might adjust that just a tiny little bit higher right in there. We might find a push right up through there into that level of the chart. Certainly looks like a possibility to see if we can get up there and push that next level. Breaking through there, we're probably moving up into this area of the chart. So watch that closely. If the bears have anything to say, well, the bears would push back. I would first look for a test of yesterday's low and then probably a pushback. We might start working our way back to fill some of this giant gap here in the chart if the bears get going. Now remember, we could just kind of rest in here. We could spend easily 10 days plus just consolidating in a choppy range in here, trying to absorb such a big move all at once. But we also have to remember that we've got these big data points coming our way, including all these trade decisions that could fire up the market, could disappoint the market in about half a heartbeat. So be prepared for just about anything in the market. If we take a look at our technicals here, we're up here dancing with the 200-day moving average, trying to see if we can get through there, making sure that we hold up there. We need to see that 50-day moving average starting to return back to that upside, which means that nice long consolidation up here looks like a possibility to start moving those, getting those moving averages going in the right direction here on the diamonds. Same thing is going to be true of the SPY. Big stretch here to the upside. If the bulls can continue to find that inspiration, I would suggest breaking through this area of resistance right here could push us up into that next level of the chart up here. Pretty strong price action resistance up there as we continue to look to the upside. If the bears have anything to say, well, pretty easy to see a retest of yesterday's low, and then beyond that point we would slip into the gap, maybe coming back in here to trend in that upside trend to see if we can hold. I couldn't rule out the possibility that we could move all the way back and fill this gap if we get any kind of disappointing news. You'll want to be watching that carefully, and if we take a look, we did pop above that 200-day moving average, so a pullback or rest in here to retest that 200-day would not be out of the question here. The question would be whether or not we hold it when we come back for that test. If we take a look at our QQQ, really strong pop again yesterday to the upside, big stretch in that chart. If the bulls can continue to find that inspiration here today, then let's see if we can stretch up and test this area of resistance in the chart. And then beyond that, we're going to be popping up into some congestion area here on the QQQ. If the bears have anything to say, well, I would suggest a pullback, maybe to test yesterday's low, and then maybe right back on down to test this layer of price support in here that's kind of a dual layer, could be anywhere in there, and maybe coming back to fill that gap in the chart. Otherwise, we probably need a substantial rest here in the market. Looking at the moving averages, we popped straight above the 200-day moving average. Notice our 50-day moving average is just trying to turn a tiny little bit. We got a lot of work to do in here, and we do have to keep in mind that we're very extended in the short term. A consolidation, a pullback would not be out of the question. And then if we take a look at IWM, IWM had a really good gap up yesterday, slammed right into this price resistance, this big red line I've got here. If you notice, that's price resistance that goes all the way back over here to 2021 and 2022. We pounded our head into that and then said, nah, that's a little bit too tough a resistance, and backed away from it. If the bulls can find the inspiration, we need to test that area again, see if we can pop through there and get through this downtrend here in the Russell. If the bears have anything to say, then a pushback to retest yesterday's low and maybe falling into the gap, coming back to this upside trend could be a possibility as well. We want to remember here on the Russell, we did get back up through the 500-day moving average. That 200-day is still quite a ways away in the chart. And once again, pretty darn extended in the short term, and a little rest, a little pullback would not be out of the question. Looking at our VIX, had a big fall yesterday. It's if all of a sudden we have no fear in the market whatsoever, but we want to keep in mind the effects of these tariffs probably won't be seen until this next quarter. Because all of those data points hadn't been collected for the quarter prior, and we'll see some of those impacts in the next quarter. But watching this carefully, the bulls are definitely suggesting there's nothing here at all to worry about at this point. Pushing all the way back down here, we're at 18 handles in the chart, so if the bulls can continue to find that inspiration to push us lower, I would suggest maybe down in here we might move into that 17 handle area. Down beyond that, we're probably coming closer into the 16 handle area here of the VIX if the bulls continue to push that way. If the bears have anything to say and we bounce back up, I would look for the possibility that we could bounce back up and come back up at least to test this downtrend here in the chart, and see if that holds as resistance. resistance. So certainly a possibility there that I would be watching for. If we take a look at our T2122, which is pinned on the ceiling, continued to be pinned on the ceiling, and I have never in my trading career seen us so extended for so long and just being stuck up here. Now, clearly that's from that oversold condition that we've had in the market, but we're also probably getting a little bit carried away in the celebration with all the challenges that we still have ahead of us. But watch that closely. Maybe this administration can defy all those things that are normal in the market, and maybe these changes really are having massive impacts on the economy that could bring us into tremendous upside. We'll see, but I've never seen us pinned up here for so long. If, for example, the bears do have anything to say, you want to just kind of keep in mind we've got a long ways to fall on a pullback here in the market if the bears do get any reason to be inspired here. If we take a look at T2108, T2108, good strong move yesterday, very parabolic in this rally to the upside. But that being said, bulls are definitely in control, pushing up here around the mid 60s area in the chart, and I see that possibility. We could stretch on higher here, test the upside of there around 70% of the stocks back above their 200-day. Certainly looks like a possibility. If the bears have anything to say, well, we've got some nice little areas of support down here around 50% and even a little lower in the 30s if we were to get any kind of a pullback in the market. And our T2107, nice stretch yesterday to the upside, breaking up here about 35% of the stocks above their 200-day, which once again means that we've got a lot of stocks back above that 40-day moving average, but still below their 200-day moving average, which is not exactly a very strong bullish condition for the market, technically. We'll have to see if we can defy gravity here and continue that push to the upside with those circumstances in play. And then if we take a look at our T2101, well, T2101 did get a nice little bump up in breadth yesterday, but I gotta be honest, that breadth increase yesterday was not nearly as impressive as the big gap. And if you saw in the charts, volume yesterday was not excessive in any way, shape, or form. There was a lot of short covering yesterday more than anything else in the market. So we'll want to be keeping an eye on this breadth. If we pulling back here this morning in the chart, we don't want to see this breadth expand on a bearish wave. What we want to see today is that breadth on this as the bears push just a little bit here this morning. We want to see that breadth fall away, showing that the bears just don't have any teeth anymore. So watch that carefully. If we do jump back here to our indexes, you just want to take a look here. Volume didn't even come up to the 50-day moving average yesterday in the diamonds. If we take a look at the SPY, barely made it up there. So you can see that there was probably an awful lot of short covering yesterday going on, where we kind of think it was just all bulls all the way. Well, maybe there wasn't a whole lot of buying going on actually in there. And just a whole bunch of short covering happening in the market. Big old short squeeze. Let's take a look at our economic calendar here for today. And our economic calendar, not a whole lot on it for today, but we do have one really big item to be paying attention to. We got the NFIB Small Business Optimism Report, and they did tick this a little bit higher. The consensus was looking for a 94.7, came up to a 95.8, so a little bit of improvement there on the small business side of things. That's encouraging. And our CPI number expected month over month to come in at a 0.3 from a negative 0.1, flat on the year over year. Expecting to see ex-food and energy up 0.3 and staying flat year over year. So keep an eye on that here this morning. Certainly a market moving number. You'll want to be paying attention to that when that comes out. Expect a little volatility. If we look on for the rest of the day, we've got a 6-week bill auction and a 52-week bill auction as well. Looking into Wednesday, we're going to get Waller speaking. We've got mortgage applications. We've got Jefferson speaking. A petroleum status number out there, a 4-month bill auction, and then Daly will be speaking after the bell yesterday, or tomorrow. Let's take a look at what we have going on in our earnings calendar here today, and we're really dropping off on the notables. Now, there's actually quite a few reports, but there's just really not that many notables here this morning. Pause the video, grab a screenshot of that. A few things that we'll want to be paying attention to, but the notables are really starting to decline. We're going to hit some more big name notables coming up, but just today, relatively light day on those notables. Let's take a quick look at a couple of these here this morning. CAMT reporting today, not much price action in there so far on that. Let's look at IGT, little pop and drop going on. ONON, trying to pump just a little bit higher in there this morning. SLAB, kind of the same, not a whole lot going on, but staying bullish. How about Under Armour? Trying to pop a little tiny bit higher, not really changing trajectory of the stock much this morning. So again, just a little bit of earnings going on in there, but nothing that's likely to really move the market in a big way this morning. Let's take a look at some stocks, however, that could be setting up for today. But before we do that, everyone, if you could do me that quick favor, if this is the first time you've seen these videos, please click that subscribe button on YouTube and also click that bell icon when it pops up, so you'll be notified every time I post a video. And if you find these videos to be useful or helpful, if you could do me that favor, and that would be click that thumbs up button, leave a brief comment. That helps the channel to grow about as much as anything. It's the engagement. And remember, even an emoji counts as engagement. So thank you so much for everyone who does take the time to do that. I do truly, truly appreciate it. Well, one of the things we're going to have to be paying attention to today on these stocks that could be setting up is many of them are very stretched in their move to the upside. Big gap ups leave that big open hole underneath, and that could create some challenges with finding a stock that you're not chasing to the upside this morning. But if we take a look at CMG, really nice consolidated area here in CMG, trying to find those higher lows in here. I'd keep a close eye on this. You can see I've placed a price alert on this. You could also move that price alert a little bit higher if you want to see it break out up here. But I would be watching CMG. If we can continue to get some follow through bullishness, there might be a pop right there to the upside. How about WDC? WDC alerted yesterday, popped and dropped just a little bit, still kind of resting in here. I would keep a close eye on WDC. That's looking pretty darn positive, trying to come up out of this bottom. Think there may be some more upside potential in there. Valero Energy, this guy, after popping that alert, just took off like a rocket here to the upside. We're coming into a major area of resistance and, of course, downtrend right in this area, kind of the double whammy of resistance right there. If we happen to pop through that area, pop up here, then I'd be looking for that rest or pullback, maybe even a lengthy consolidation, and I'd be looking for that next opportunity there in Valero to pop. If it has to pull back from here, just wait for that little higher low to come into play and then look for that next opportunity for that to push on through. But Valero still looking pretty good overall here in the market. Shop had a good reversal yesterday. We were kind of drifting to the downside. News yesterday gapped this thing big time right into price resistance. So now I would watch carefully in here. Little rest, little consolidation in here would set up that next opportunity for Shopify, for that opportunity to push on through. So be careful. Again, this is a pretty big stretch on one day, and it may just have to rest for a little while. I'd watch that carefully. How about BTU? BTU now, I'm biased because I'm holding this trade. But that being said, nice little resting consolidation here. I would watch this move out here toward that trend, and I'd be looking for that next opportunity here in BTU for that to move on higher. Looking good overall. Nothing wrong with that chart in any way, shape, or form. Now, if we take a look at some other areas of the market out there, how about RTX? RTX slipped past this little downtrend here in the chart, just kind of resting sideways out here, maybe looking for that upside trend. Obviously, a big double bottom, straight up run, so it might need to consolidate a little bit more. But what we're looking for is that higher low that gives us that upside trend. Keep an eye on RTX, still looking pretty darn good. If you're into the big techs, NVIDIA, nice move yesterday, gapping up substantially. It's been holding this little upside trend. Clearly, we're going to have to address some resistance here in the chart. Also, we've got to address just a little bit of technical up here around that 200-day moving average. I wouldn't be surprised to see a little bit of a pullback or a little rest in here. Remember, NVIDIA is going to report on the 28th, so we're coming up on that report. Anticipation of earnings can sometimes continue to see that bullishness push in there. If we could get just a little bit of rest or consolidation out here to trend, that would certainly help in providing an entry into that chart there in NVIDIA. Keep an eye on that. You know, we saw some pretty substantial pullbacks in some of the defensive sector type stocks yesterday. But when I look at Walmart here, being in that defensive sector, coming up on its earnings report here on the 15th, nice little resting consolidation coming back in here. We probably have flattened out this trend to something like this. If those bulls can find inspiration in here, I would look for that next opportunity there in Walmart. Taking a look at Procter. Procter had a really good bounce up yesterday. If you're looking for a stock that's been really beaten down and dealing with a major area of price support here in the chart and want to take a shot at this bouncing up off of the bottom, well, there you go. You got a good start to that yesterday with that possibility of that push on higher. Watch that one carefully. How about Stone? Stone has been holding in a nice little resting pattern in here, looking like it could potentially set on up to go higher. Watch that carefully. It's possible it moves so much that it may have to rest all the way out here to this trend. But if we can just kind of hang in here, we may find that way to just stretch on higher here in Stone. Worth keeping an eye on. OKTA, that thing's been on quite a run to the upside. Breaking through this resistance up here would now suggest a little rest or pullback is likely, and then I'd be looking for my entry into that chart. UPRO, same thing, big moves here, stretching to the upside as you can see, coming into a little bit of price resistance, maybe a little rest, a little consolidation here is due. But if we could rest back and hold that upside upside trend, I'd be looking for that next opportunity to push on through. Keep a close eye on that. Hertz, HTZ, well, started to try and pop through yesterday and get something going early, faded back. Now, one of the things we'll want to be watching in here is maybe just a little bit more rest or consolidation is possible, but keep an eye on that. If it can continue to hold up here in the chart, worth paying attention to. And then, of course, if we take a look at Uber, Uber continuing to show lots and lots of bullishness. Big pop yesterday to the upside, breaking through some resistance. Now any rest consolidation in here that could set up a little bit of a lower risk entry, I think there might set up a pretty decent opportunity, setting up there in Uber, looking good, pushing through to highs. So with that, everyone, there's quite a few charts for you to look at. There's certainly a lot more. I could spend the whole day probably going through charts that have some potential. Take a look at those, and if there is any questions that you have, always feel free to ask in the comments. Thank you so much for everyone for being here today. Thank you so much for the kind support of the channel. I do truly appreciate it. Thank you to everyone who joined yesterday for the open house. I hope you got something out of that, and hopefully I'll see you in the trading room today. Remember, you can get a trial to the trading room and participate with us for a full month for only $7. Kind of come on over and take a look, see if there's anything that we can do to help you with your trading, maybe get you on the right track to profitability. If not, hey, I still want to wish you all great success in your trading. I know I'm not everyone's cup of tea, and I don't expect to be, but if I can be of help, I would sure love to do that. So with that, everyone, have a great day. Love to see all of those trial members in the trading room this morning. So thank you for being here. Take care, be safe, and I'll see you bright and early Wednesday morning. Wish you all the best, everyone.
Black and white candles, my stars in the dark. Price is my king, got that fire and spark. Rideways my ranch on the trader's trail, trading with heart where the profits prevail.